welcome back to another episode of the We Grow Together podcast. I'm Laura DiFrancesco, your host, founder of Flourish, co-working space, Ethereal Farms, Dean Street Law, LD Brand, so much more. Based on the fact that one of the number one questions that I get asked is, how do you do all of the things that you do? This topic today is going to be of great interest to a lot of people because we're going to be talking about specifically, we've talked higher level, strategically, how do I do all of the things that I do? Today, we want to talk about designing workflows that align with your lifestyle. And what do I mean by that? I mean, how can you design your work life in a way that actually suits you and promotes your success and works with your lifestyle? Because we've become so conditioned based on school and what's expected of us to do work a certain way, and that work doesn't always suit everyone. I really think we took this industrial revolution of the 1800s and ran with it and made all of these schools where people are told to learn a certain way and act a certain way and behave and produce and do all of this in a more systematized way. But just because it works for the system doesn't mean it's ideal for the individual. And so if you want to be successful, if you want to be productive, if you want to make the most of your work life so you can enjoy your actual personal life the most, or if you want to infuse as much of your personal self into your work life so you can enjoy your work life the most, all of that is so integral and important to create a successful personal life, professional life, so that you can enjoy your life, whether it be work life or personal life. And we've gotten so much more success in helping people understand higher up that not everything has to be done the same way to be successful. Me, myself, in my role, I'm always asking people who work for me across all of my businesses, what you need to be successful, what do we need to do to support you so that you can be successful, because ultimately each individual in an organization highly impacts the success of that organization overall, and how you come into your work life will be a direct reflection of the success that you see from your work life as well. So I want it to be the best for you. I hope that you find this helpful in sharing some tips and some of my philosophies around creating a work life so that you can be as productive with it as possible, because I think everybody, no matter whether you love work or don't love work, they actually want to be productive at work, hopefully, so that when they are doing work, it's not wasted time. I don't want to spend a single moment wasting time in work because I'd rather be wasting time in life. So I think everybody at a minimum is aligned in that regard. So let me share a few things of the way that I think about approaching your work-life design. So a few of the things that I think about is really reflecting on what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and being a student of myself. This is pervasive through everything that I do, but especially in designing any part of my life to make it better, is figuring out where are the frictions and then where are the opportunities, what are the easiest wins, and what are worth the investment. So those types of questions are all going to be things that I'm constantly thinking of and evaluating every day in my work life. And I'll share too a few of the things that I do, but first I want to share with you the frameworks of how I think about that. So those key questions can really help you start to identify what you need in your work life to make you successful. So first off, alignment is one of the biggest ways to start thinking of anything. How aligned are you to begin with? Do you feel a lot of friction? Do you feel unsatisfied? Do you feel frustrated in your work-life design? Do you feel like you're not productive? Do you feel like you're getting things done or not getting things done, or getting unimportant things done but not getting important things done? Where do you feel aligned and where don't you feel aligned? That's the best place to start when you're thinking about designing anything in your life, but especially your work life. And then once you have a reality check for where you are, start to design what would be ideal for you. What would make you feel so good? Would it make you feel so good to feel more supported, to be more active, to have more breaks, to work for less time, to work for more time? What would be ideal for you? And maybe what's ideal isn't necessarily systematic. It may be that in periods of your life where you feel energy, this is your ideal. In periods of your life where you feel drained, or you're working in a way that you're just reacting and surviving and not thriving, this is going to be what you need. And it's okay that all of those things are different. It's totally fine. It's just that you need to figure out what you need. And so what is that ideal workday going to be for you? What are the ideal situations, setup, environment, tools, resources, people around you? What does all of that look like? And then going towards that alignment, starting to focus on what do you feel friction in? Where are you feeling the most friction? Where do you need to make the most change? What is driving you absolutely up the wall that you could feel like you could make a quick win in if you made some changes? And then what supports you and what could support you? What do you want to support you to infuse your work life with something that's uniquely you, that you pull from your regular life or you pull from your fun life? What do you like that supports you? Some of the things for me is activity. When I'm feeling okay and not recovering, I'm using a walking pad, or I'm hiking, taking meetings, or I'm hiking, writing books. So I like to infuse a lot of the things that are important to me in my everyday life. You can also see I've designed Flourish to feel like home, but better. It has natural textures. It has a lot of plants in it. All of those make me feel like I've brought the outside in, and I've brought my favorite parts of life into my workspace. I also have Molly, my dog, who spends every day with me. It used to be Bear and Molly. Before that, it was Bear. I have always had my animals be a big part of my workday, because for me, when you get the awful emails you need to digest or need to have a hard conversation, I need my emotional support animals to be able to help me through those hard times. And to me, that is make or break it, how I'm enjoying my life and my day. And then I really like to change my work days seasonally. And so they're very different from summer to winter, because I want to spend as much time outside as possible. In the winter, I don't care as much about spending as much time outside as possible because it's cold and wintry, but I still want to spend the mornings with my animals, taking care of my animals. I have a lot of different things in my life that make sense, because I've had to adjust to the fact that just because I'm an entrepreneur doesn't mean that I have to work a 9 to 5 myself. I would be doing things differently, and it's okay to do those things differently as well. When I was starting my business, I needed a place to create, a place that filled me from the inside out, somewhere that inspired me, helped me make content, a place where I could go to get good work done and host events, gather in community, celebrate one another, host family and friends for gatherings. So I created Flourish Co-working Space in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's a space that nourishes you from the inside out. It's lush, inspiring environment with hundreds of plants to make you feel like your best self so that you can do your best work and gather in community in a way that's casual, inviting, and just incredible. I hope you check it out. If you need a co-working or event space in Westchester, PA, be sure to visit us and book your co-working or event today. So let's talk about some customizations that I've done in my life to make my business and my work time better. So we talked about the space, the environment that I create. That's really meaningful to me. Here at Flourish, at home, I have beautiful offices that support me both in terms of ergonomics as well as having a space that just energizes me. I think so much of work is energy and energy management and understanding that. And so I support myself with energy. I have noon hydration tabs. I have healthy snacks with me, both at home and at Flourish. I have my pup Molly with me at home. I have my animals, although sometimes I work from the front porch. Sometimes I work from a picnic blanket. Sometimes I work from my desk. Sometimes I work from a big table. So I like to have a lot of different spaces too, both at Flourish and at home, that I work from to invigorate me and give me creative space to work depending on what type of project that I'm working on. I do try to make it so that my animals are included and there when needed, but not going to distract me. So when the goats get to be too much or the turkeys start having conversations in my podcasting, I have to make those decisions of whether those are distracting me or okay. And then other customizations that I make are time. So I generally don't accept any sort of work calls or meetings or anything like that before 10 a.m. And at times it's before 11 a.m. because that's times where I need to be able to react to things at the farm. I need to be able to either drive or get feedback on important things or do an important project. So for me, I'm not available for the most part before 10 a.m. and sometimes even before 11 a.m. And then I'm also not available to anybody after 6 p.m. After 5 p.m. probably, like most people aren't able to schedule with me. Like all of my schedulers, people are able to schedule with me from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's it. Sometimes I'll take client calls, especially with my West Coast clients after 4 p.m. That's easy, but it's very rare that it goes much past that. And I like to have those cutoffs because spending time with my family is incredibly important to me too. And so if I can't schedule it during the day, then it just doesn't get done. And I do prioritize things constantly to make sure that I'm getting the most that I can out of the day and that I'm treating my clients incredibly well, that we're staffed to be able to take care of our clients incredibly well. But at the same time, I don't need to myself be constantly available to be able to serve my business, to serve my clients. That's not on the bingo list of available options. In addition, I really track my energy and I don't push myself to be productive at times that I'm not. If you're not into human design, I encourage you to check it out. I am a manifester and I love learning about my human design. We have a great podcast episode that we can link with Nikki Braffman. She taught me a lot about human design and I absolutely love it. I have a very sprint-like energy, and so I have times when I'm productive where I could write a whole book in 3 weeks, and then I have times where I'm not productive and I would barely do anything for months. And that's okay. I don't have to be constantly productive in everything in every part of my life. Now, there are things that I can't drop. And for those, I delegate. I create responsible people who do have more consistent energy. I'm more of an initiator. I know that I need to delegate and have team members that support me to bring things to life and continue. So I can record, but I can't edit and do all the things. That would just be overwhelming and I wouldn't have time for it anyways. So you have to be realistic with your time and energy and also how it cycles. Are you really consistent? Are you all over the place? Don't try to force yourself to be something different. Try to create an environment for success for you. And that may not be immediately easy because it's going to take capital to hire team members. It's going to take a lot to build systems and processes to support you. So it's not something that has to be an immediate overnight change, but it is something that you work towards to consistently better your work environment and your likelihood of success by creating a successful environment for yourself where success is not a question. It's inevitable because you have structured your life and business in a way that success cannot be anything but a future date that comes on the calendar. That's my philosophy to creating a work life. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that takes a lot of time and energy and resources that you constantly iteratively build, and it becomes an evolution that you have over time. So it's not easy to build these things, but if you can think of things that might be productive for you, whether that's time blocking or time batching or doing flow-based work, whatever that works best for you. I have certain days that I do certain types of work, especially now that I'm in a recovery after having been in an accident and trying to get better. I have certain days that are really heavy of doing my rehab work. And then I have other days that are really heavy, deep work days and creative days and team days. So that's always been prevalent. And then I used to have a 9 a.m. meeting every morning with my team members. But as I said, I am not a morning person and I have a lot of priorities with my family that are more important to me in the morning. And so my friend Emily was like, why don't you just change it to a 3 p.m. meeting? And it has been revolutionary for me. I love a 3 p.m. meeting. I also love not having team members with me every day. I don't like answering emails and messages and giving feedback every single day. I have to have certain days. And I actually only have one person that works in person with me on Tuesdays on an as needed basis because that's usually my content creation day or my writing day or my deep work day. And then on Fridays, I'm actually considering, and I'm about to authorize this, is having no one but me working the business on Fridays in the summer, and then see if we like that long term. But I think that we could do business easily in 4 days. I think the only challenge would be the legal team because we do have things that are due on Fridays. So either we have everybody work those same days, Monday through Thursday, or figure out a way where we have like someone on call as needed on Fridays so that we can address that need. But for me, it's all about thinking creatively about how do I design my work, my business, my team, my structure in a way that feels good. And it's an iterative process that you're going to try and change as you go through phases of learning and living. The number one question I'm asked is, how do I do all the things I do? So I put this into a course, a workbook, and a workshop where you can find all the little details about how I do this on a daily basis. And I've called it the Wild Ambition Lifestyle Design Course, Workbook, and Workshop. Transform your dreams into reality with guided vision setting, storyboarding, journaling, and all the tools I use to bring my dreams to life, with over 100 lessons, 200 plus pages of workbooks, and lifetime access so you can return to it whenever you need to. The course itself is that iterative process of how we continue to evolve over time to be the best version of ourselves. If you are an ambitious individual, if you want to make your dreams come true, I think you'll really love Wild Ambition, and I encourage you to check it out in the show notes. Start your journey today. Enroll now to dream and live with wild ambition. So time blocking is when you block hours for big tasks. I love that. That's super important for my day. And then flow-based work is where you just do something and then go into another thing and go into another. I like to block off on my calendar when I have important things to get done. And then I also go into flow state of where I just don't drop everything, but where I have blank days to be able to do whatever makes sense for that day. And then task batching, I really like to batch the same things together. So I like to have all of my team meetings around the 2 to 4 p.m. time. So if people need to schedule time with me, I don't want to have like an 11 a.m. meeting and then a 2 p.m. meeting and then a 4 p.m. meeting. I want to have my 2, 2:30, 3, 3:30. That's it. I want them all together. I also like to constantly map my energy and make sure that how I'm using energy at different times makes the most sense. This does change frequently from season to season, from what I'm going through in life. I map out my time, I map out my hours, I map out my general structure that work life lives within. And then I really start to edit things to make more sense and refine it and get better over time, especially making those all customized to my priorities and what I need to focus on at that time. And then I love to use different tools to keep me structured and sane so that I have systems and processes that allow me to live freely. So I have a lot of standard operating procedures, training materials, management, approval systems. All of that is mapped out so that I have the ability to come out of my business and work creatively and work in free flow-based work, but I have the structure to back it up so that my business can run without me and it's not needed. And then we have different things like project management, responsible team members, project management systems on Asana. We have communication through Slack, so my email isn't bogged down with company communications. And then I do my own planner and work with my to-do list for the week, for the day, priorities, what can wait, what can't wait, what's high income generating or high revenue opportunity and what's not. I think that's one of my biggest strengths is delegation and prioritization. And then in addition to that, I always take all of my long-term goals and reverse engineer them into my day-to-day life, month-to-month life, week-to-week life, the habits that I'm doing. I want to be healthy. And so if I can, I want to sprinkle in activity throughout my day to the greatest extent possible while I'm well and able to do so. I will use a walker if able to, or I will go for a hike, or I will go outside as much as I can. So I like to sprinkle in lots of healthcare throughout my day so that I'm not taking care of myself, not taking care of myself, and then taking care of myself again. I have a water and a Noon right in front of me while I'm podcasting to take care of myself and hydrate. I have healthy snacks to be able to snack on. I also like to make sure I have full meals that are delivered here or that are meal prepped ahead of time and brought for lunch. I will say if I had one thing to improve upon, it is always remembering to pack myself a lunch or have lunch here. I do sometimes do a lot of snacking because I forget my lunch, but it happens. And then I do have to say, a lot of people thrive on caffeine. I almost never have caffeine ever. And I do so much without caffeine because I'm giving my body what it needs: rest, health, nutrition, activity. I'm doing all of the hard things to give my body the resources that it needs to actually be productive when I want to go to work. And then I have to say, I'm super productive because I love what I'm doing. I am super passionate about it. I was not always as productive in Big Law. You had to be productive, sure, but I get so much more done because I love doing it. It makes me happy and I really enjoy it. So that's for sure important too. But make your priorities in life your priorities, and then figure out how work will work around them. And sometimes your priorities have to give and flow between different phases of life, for sure. But I think there's a lot of ways that we can bring family, health, creativity that we want in our personal life into our work life. And that's not only going to make it better, but it's going to make you incredible from a perspective of enjoyment and fulfillment, as well as productivity. So I think all of these things flow from one to another and greatly impact each other, and you will be better for it having a well-designed work life. I hope this has been helpful. I would love to hear from your perspective. What do you do to design your work life? How do you design your workflows? How do you design your environment? What helps you? What are some things that really stand out to you that others might benefit from? I'd love to hear that on my latest Instagram at Laura DiFrancesco at Flourish Westchester. And I'd love to hear, what episode would you like to hear next? Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to subscribe, share with your friends, tag us on social media. And if you didn't know, Spotify actually has this really cool feature now where you can comment on episodes. So I would love, love, love for you to comment on our episode and let us know, what are your favorite parts of your workflow? What have you learned from this that you absolutely love? Let us know. And I look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Cheers.